Let's dive in this and unpack this with Mr. Tjiramba. So good morning, Mr. Tjiramba, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mike, and I'm so really excited to be visiting this morning over coffee with the Eagle FM listeners.
That's great. So can you start by explaining why the government decided to introduce the pension-backed home loan scheme now, and what is the biggest picture? And when you look at the bigger picture here of Namibia's housing situation, how does this scheme fit into that?
All right, thank you. And I would really try to be very systematic and very down to earth with the answers I give.
Exactly.
Because we want everybody to really take this in.
Yeah.
Any home loan that a pension fund gives is as per the law.
Yeah.
The Pension Fund Act 24 or 56. So basically this home loan is allowable under the Act. For many, and it applies to every pension fund, and not only the GIPF. I mean, definitely we are the biggest, we are the largest, and everything we do tend to attract a little bit more attention, but that is besides the point.
Yeah.
The point is, when you look at it, Mike, I even worked for the University of Namibia for many years. And there, as early as I joined in 2001, the pension-back home loan was already part of the pension offering.
Yeah.
So there are so many employers right now in Namibia who have already taken care of this particular provision of the Act.
Yeah.
What the Act says, any pension fund, any employer may grant a pension-back home loan, there are rules permitting. And for us at the GIPF, our rules were not permissive of that from the beginning.
Yeah.
Why? Because unlike many pension funds, ours is the only what we call a defined benefit fund, meaning our benefits are already guaranteed and they are known.
Yeah.
The other people, including yourself, who are maybe part of a private pension fund, you are what is called a defined contribution fund, meaning basically what you have in the kitty is what you save.
Yeah.
And plus what the employer says. And at the end of the day, all market forces, all investments being equal, you get what you have in the kitty.
Yeah.
But for us at the GIPF, we know by the time you join the civil service, you are maybe 25. By the time you turn 60, this is the benefits that are promised, and you are guaranteed to get those.
Yeah.
Even if fund does not do well, your employer will step in, the government will step in, and you will get your pension. So it was not easy for us to say, now because these rules are already there, you can now start and borrow against a saving you have to build a house. So we went through a very vigorous process of getting our rules amended.
Yeah.
The rules were amended, they were approved by our board, they were approved by the government, they were then eventually approved by NAMFISA, which is our regulator in our space. And then that paved the way for the rule change. That has now been accepted. And then we had to go the extra mile. For us, the biggest thing was to say, but now at what interest rate will the members be repaying back the capital they borrow? Because mind you, the members are borrowing from their own pension.
Yeah.
So, and everybody is asking, but why do I have to pay back? You are paying back because you have borrowed the capital from yourself, and we want to restore you to that original position you were in, had you not borrowed at the time you turned 60. And that, and in any pension fund, even in the country, you pay a variable interest at the time that is there. The laws say so. And as an administrator or any other pension administrator, we only follow what the law says. So that's why there is an interest to be paid. And it's going to be paid back to yourself because it's going to go back into your kitty. Yeah. It is going to make sure that by the time you retire, you are at the same time to be able to get that 1/3 lump sum, which is tax-free.
Okay.
And by that time, you already have a house over your roof, a roof over your head. So you don't have to worry about, now I got my 1/3, and now I need to go and buy a house or pay off a house. You have already done so while you are working for the remaining of your working career.
Yeah.
And that is basically the reason why we are introducing this scheme.
Okay. And why now, though? Because there are the same scheme from the banking sector. So why are you introducing now? So is there any is it because is there any what is it broad bigger picture here for maybe for Namibia's housing situation, or why are you introducing it now?
Definitely there is a bigger picture and there is a bigger overriding reason.
Yeah.
The fund already in 2011, we also introduced what we call a mortgage-backed home loan scheme.
Yeah.
Which we were doing through First Capital, which we are currently still doing through First Capital. And to that scheme, we gave about 1.5 billion Namibian dollars for our members to be able to access that money, to be able to do buy a house or renovate a house, just as they would do through any commercial bank.
Yeah.
But this one we introduced because we said this is only unique to the GIPF members. So we have been a player already in this on this field. We are not doing it for the first time.
Okay.
What is different with this one, Mike, is the fact that unlike any mortgage bond or any mortgage-backed scheme where your house becomes the guarantee by any commercial bank or any entity out there, and should you default, they just take the house and sell it, give you your difference, they take their money. With the pension-backed home loan, a portion of your pension savings act as the guarantee.
Yeah, yeah.
And here is the cherry on the cake. With this scheme, you are able to build this in an unproclaimed area.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
No commercial bank will fund you to build a house in an unproclaimed or rural area.
Yeah, yeah.
And for us, earlier you also asked a question about have we done an assessment of the housing situation? The housing situation in Namibia, I think, is very known to every Namibian. Should we have not had a housing crisis, we would not have the Astelans, we would not have the Sievendelans, we would not have the Ombilis and all of this. And you will actually be surprised to know how many of our members live in these areas.
Yeah.
In a study that was in statistics that were provided as far as 2019, out of 100,000 civil servants, close to 70% of them are not taking part in the government housing subsidy that currently is underway. And as we know, the Namibian government is probably one of the governments in all of sub-Saharan Africa that has such a good housing subsidy scheme.
Yeah.
But still, the uptake on the average civil servant to have a house has been very minimal. And the reasons for that are many, and I do not have to go into them.
Yeah.
But we are hoping with this additional project, we are just going to alleviate that housing backlog and that housing crisis, where more of our members now will maybe opt to either build in an unproclaimed area, or they have an existing bond that they want to settle, or they want to buy an earth in town, or they just want to build a home that they could not afford before. Yeah. So these are some of the reasons.
Yeah. So briefly also, you just walk us through the process the civil servant would go through to get one of these loans.
Definitely, the civil servant will have to know what they qualify for under the pension-backed home loan scheme.
Yeah.
It's up to 1/3 of their savings, which is that part. When they look at their benefit statement of the GIPF, it has two columns. Yeah. The one is your cash benefit. Basically, that is just your own contribution. And then there is another line that says withdrawal or transfer benefit, which is a bigger amount because this not only has your cash benefit, but it also entails your employer contribution. And you may borrow up to 1/3 of that. Now, let me say somebody who has been working for 30 plus years and they have 3.8 million as a withdrawal or transfer benefit. Up to 1/3 means they can borrow up to $1 million plus. So that is the first thing any active member will have to do is today go onto the GIPF website, self-register on our self-serving portal so that you are able to view and print your benefit statement at any time you want. If you are not able to do so, you can send an email to GIPF at info@GIPF, and that will be sent to you. If you have the nearest GIPF close to you, and we have 14 regional offices, so we are in every region. You can go to that regional office and just print your benefit statement, and then that will be the first step for you to know where you are with regards to what you qualify for.
Yeah.
Once we roll out, once we say and we come to the public, to the media and say, now the GIPF pension back home loan is ready to go, the first step, every active member will start at their respective human resources offices of their employers.
Yeah.
This is where the application process will start. And they will be told exactly, go back to your office, bring all these documents. Just as you will go for any loan.
Yeah.
You do have to prove what is your identity. Are you married? Are you single? You know, all the certified documents that are always required. That has to then be appended to your application form.
Yeah.
And then this will be processed by one of the two administrators, because every active member will choose which one they will want to work with anyway.
Yeah.
And then they will go for an affordability testing, because in terms of the law, and another law is our labor law, which says, you know, you may not really deduct from a member's or an employee's salary up until they have nothing to take home.
Yeah.
So, and that is a key consideration, because we also have to be compliant with that. So affordability in this sense will also look at issues of how does your normal pay slip look like? I mean, you know, you qualify for this amount, but if you take up to a maximum, will you be able to afford, or can you take only up to a certain percentage? And this is some of the things that we'll look at. But definitely where in normal circumstances where you will be required to say we are looking at your ITC, we don't look at things like that. Or where you will be required now to go for a health test.
Mr. Tjiramba, we have a quick commercial and we'll be just back now. Yeah. All right, we'll come back. So, Mr. Tjiramba, were there a point you wanted to finish on what you were saying so that we go to the next question? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we were talking about the application process. And where that will have you start off, and the whole thing of you being able to for us also to do some type of an affordability testing, so that we remain responsible, and we also remain legally compliant as to so that we just don't give you up to the maximum and now you are not able to take anything home for bread and butter at home. So that is the one. But we are just taking out the unnecessary requirements that are normally there, of either apparently you have now a small clothing account with a shop I cannot mention, and it's $50 that you have not paid. Now you cannot afford to do this thing. So some of those unnecessary requirements we are definitely not looking at. But we just want to make sure that there is a good uptake on the product for our members.
Okay. Now, what happens if someone can't repay their loans? Does the GIPF step in, or what does that mean now for their pension?
We definitely want to make sure that we do not have to deal with that hurdle. How do we deal with that? Is one other thing that we now await that the Ministry of Finance will provide the respective employers is what is called a deduction code. The deduction code is currently what every employer will use in this term to be able to deduct whatever you have agreed to as repayment against your salary. So that it is just deducted before the money comes to your account at your respective commercial bank to go towards paying your home loan. So that is one way of ensuring that there is really no unnecessary defaulting on this particular product. So that will be part of the offering, and that will be available to every single participating employer, because some of our employers, our active members, are also members in parastatal or regional councils. So having a deduction code already in place is one way to make sure that we all remain compliant.
Yeah. Well, there are also dissenting voices. And I read through the papers that the teachers' unions are calling it just another bank product. What is your take on their concerns?
I am, I do not want to ruffle any feathers with responding to a question like that one.
Yeah.
But the reality is one will have to have an account for who are the members of the GIPF. The members of the GIPF are primarily 90-some plus % civil servants.
Yeah.
And they are either in the public sector proper by being just civil servants or members of the armed forces, inclusive of our police, of our army, and all the armed forces. And then a bigger other part will be either people in our health professions, our nurses, and then the teachers.
Yeah.
So these two entities are represented because they have a recognition agreement with government through the NAPU, the Public Workers Union, and through NANTU, the National Teachers Union.
Yeah.
These are the people who speak for our members. These are also the two entities that sit at the table of the Board of Trustees of the GIPF where these decisions were taken. These are also the very unions that were very instrumental in negotiating a very favorable rate in terms of an interest rate with government through the Ministry of Finance that has now been gazetted, and that will actually now benefit everybody who is having a pension back home loan scheme, and not the GIPF members. So we are confident that there have been broader consultations with our unions. We are also very confident that our unions are supportive of this desire of their members to access a portion of their pension savings for something like a home loan. So I can only comment as to the consultative processes we have had, as to how our unions we deal with our on board, and to the rest, I really have no other comment.
Okay. What is also the idea for workers actually to have direct access to their pension saving for investment, not just loans? Is that something the GIPF would ever consider?
You see, the consideration is not really for the GIPF to make, and that's the thing we want to make clear. The GIPF is merely an administrator, and we only administer this pension fund prudently and responsibly within the four confines of the law. Yeah. The Pension Fund Act 24 of 56 does not provide for any other reason for a home loan from one's pension other than for a home loan. Yeah. And laws are not cast in stone. Laws can be amended at any point, and that's why we say our members, should they desire to have that outside the four corners of this law, then they just have to do the right thing and make sure they lobby our lawmakers for a law amendment so that that can be a consideration. But for where we are right now, we are only administering within the confines of the law, and it provides for a housing loan, and that's what we can do.
Yeah. So, well, pensions are safety net. So hopefully this is not my question. It's just a presumption that, these are safety net. What is your plan if things goes wrong?
And that's why it has taken us actually this long to implement this project. We had to make sure that due diligently everything is across board for us to make sure that this does not, disadvantage a pensioner once they turn 60. And that's why the law is clear. You have to pay back against a variable interest rate. Yeah. That's why we have to make sure there have to be a certain deduction code, and that's why you can only access up to a third. I mean, there are pension funds in the country where that threshold is even bigger. Yeah. But what we do, and maybe that's also one thing I have not mentioned prior. What we do, we have actuaries. We do an actuarial evaluation of the fund's wellness every 3 years. And it's a statutory evaluation that says, are we able to meet the demands of our benefits maybe in 70 to 80 years that are still coming?
Yeah.
So for us to introduce this pension back home loan to come to a percentage of 1/3, it is based on actuarial evaluations and determinations. And then we were advised by our actuaries, should you pack it at this percentage, the fund will still be able to meet its benefits, and it will still be able to have to maintain its asset base where its asset currently now outweighs its liabilities, meaning it is in a healthy state.
Yeah.
And that is why we are saying we are doing everything possible to make sure that the member is restored to that original position they were in had they not taken the loan. And come that day they turn 60, they will get their 1/3 tax lump sum tax free, and then they can continue to benefit from the 2/3 that's remaining for life. And the GIPF is the only pension fund that actually guarantees you an income until the day you die. You retire at 60, and mind you, we still have pensioners who are 100 plus. And there is no way any person would have worked for maybe 30 years and then have saved more to be able to be paid for another 40. It is because of how we invest, our investment philosophy, and what we have guaranteed that we are able to do some of these things. And we are a public national fund, and for that we have a greater mandate, and it's that mandate that we make sure we enforce to the letter.
Yeah. So I believe there are two entities chosen to administer the scheme. So what criteria were actually used to select them?
The criteria we used, it was actually a very open process. It was a highly competitive process. We extended a request for proposals to all commercial bank entities and also to those in the sector that we know are in the private industry, but whom we know are players in the pension back home loan. And there was quite a great interest of those who participated and who responded positively to the request for these proposals. So, and that went through a normal process of being assessed, and then it went to the board, and the board then, on various factors, chose these two administrators to be the inaugural administrators for the pilot phase, for which we have availed about 900 million.
Yeah. So, lastly, Mr. Tjiramba, why should civil servant actually trust this scheme and consider applying for a loan?
What we are doing is something, the fund is also one of few funds that do active member engagement intensively and actively throughout the whole country. There is no part of this country that I have not gone to in the last 6 years now. I've been working for the fund, meaning we are as a fund in touch with our members. Yeah. So we definitely know this is the product they want, but and this is a product they have been waiting for. So what we are doing is not something that we just are doing because we feel we should do it. We are also responding to a need. We know the housing crisis in the country. We are responding to that. And you should also appreciate, Mike, that the fund, under its unlisted investment portfolio, have also done much more for housing in this country than any other pension fund.
Yeah.
We have so far built over 7,800 houses. We have serviced many errands in many towns and cities in the country. Yeah. Our clear product is something like the Osona village between Windhoek and Okahanja. This is a product of the GIPF. And who are the people in those houses? It's our civil servants, it's our army, it's our police, and we continue to add on to the housing numbers at Osona and elsewhere in the country where you go, where we have put in a lot of money into housing. So this is yet just another product that we are trying to roll out to make sure that Namibians have a comfortable house that they can call home.
Mr. Tjiramba, any last words maybe that I haven't asked you, or something that I haven't asked that you deem to be very important for our listeners to know?
No, I think all I can say is I'm glad I've had this opportunity to be given a moment to engage. Yeah. The engagements will continue. Like, for instance, today we we are engaging our active members at Walvis Bay. So any listener who's in this area can come through at 5:30 at the Blue Whale Hotel. And tomorrow we are at the Tamariskia Town Hall in Swakopmund, 5:30 as well. So where we continue to have this conversation with our members. And definitely we only now await the official signing of the memorandum of agreement between ourselves and the Office of the Prime Minister, and after which we will give ourselves 3 months to make sure we have done all the logistical processes in place to roll out the pension back home loan. So our members should just remain calm, patient. When we are ready, we will definitely say it's all systems go.
So, Mr. Tjiramba, thank you very much, and thank you for making time actually to come and talk to our listeners about, because there has been people who come in through here asking us to get someone to explain and give insight really of what is this new pension-backed home loan scheme is all about. And thank you for making time to talk to us.
You are most welcome, and the pleasure is all mine. Thank you, Mike.